Well, hello, we are live for our final Confessions of a Global Changemaker interview of this week. So we have the amazing, the incredible, the fantastic, the supernova, that is Kerry Bartley, who was interviewed on this show just 4 or 5 weeks ago. I think it was about 4 weeks ago, and I interviewed Kerry, and she gave us a really great history of how she got to where she is, and what were some of the challenges that she'd achieved and got through, and what were some of the successes that she'd celebrated. But what did Kerry do next? I'm so intrigued because Kerry is one of those incredible people. You know, when you have like the ideal customer, you have the ideal customer who listens and take action. Not only do they listen and take action, they then come back, they repeat it, and then they do more of that stuff. So Kerry is one of those amazing action takers. Saying hello to you, joining us now. Come and say hi. Make sure you click on the link within the description of the video, because if you click on that, then I'll also be able to see your name. So come and say hello. So yeah, Kerry is one of those amazing people that just takes absolute inspired action. And on the last interview admitted that even though she doesn't understand half the stuff I say to her, she just goes away and does it about 20% of what I do and gets the amazing results. So I can't wait to dig into what has Kerry actually been doing, because we didn't cover that in the first interview. So I'm very excited to introduce you to Kerry. She has an amazing business, a brilliant work ethic, and is an incredible entrepreneur who has just now decided that she's going to be shining her light to the world in a much bigger way. So without further ado, Kerry, welcome to today's show. Oh, can't hear you. Oh, hang on. Yeah, we're muted.
Unmute, that always helps.
Oh my gosh, how is it like we can't hear Kerry? That's just an impossible thing. Like, Kerry, thank you so much for coming on the show today. For those of you that are watching, come and say hi to Kerry. How many of you have actually met Kerry or seen Kerry before, or seen the interview that she did? Just pop it in the comments with this video. And by the way, also introduce yourself in the comments, because it's great for us to know who is it that's watching live. And there's so many opportunities for you to be collaborating with each other. If you share what it is that you do in the comments here, there might be somebody who's also watching the show that's interested in what you're doing and could partner. And that is really what I want to talk to Kerry about today, because partnerships, joint ventures, collaboration, really supporting, and that infinite, when you give, you receive. When you receive, you can give more. All of these things are really what sums up Kerry Bartley. Like, you are just such a gift of knowledge and support for other people. But now is your time to shine, Kerry, and it is your time to get out there and be doing the most phenomenal things. So what have you been up to since the last interview about 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago?
Okay, so so where do I actually begin? So as you know, at the Brand Builders Day, I came up with the idea with my ambassadors who are on the table to come up with "You Are Not Your Job." So yeah. I am now officially a transition mentor. Yeah. So I know exactly what I am, I know exactly what I do, I know exactly how I help people. So what's happened is I did I've done two now. I've done a few. Okay, so so I've got a workshop called Dream Big. So that's the very first part of You Are Not Your Job. And I had some clients flying from Germany to come and see me. Wow. Yeah. So I've had them flying from Pakistan, Belgium, you name it. They fly in and they come and they see me. So this is what's been happening. It's absolutely, partly I kind of go, it's incredible.
And big stuff.
Yeah, and really big stuff. Yeah, and the first workshop, funny enough, one of my clients posted on her Facebook yesterday that after doing my Dream Big workshop, she had manifested meeting somebody who she always wanted to meet, who she'd put on her vision board at the event on the 18th to say she wanted to meet that person and manifested it. So it really has been a phenomenal journey when you can see, and I know what you mean, when you can see results from people that
Mhm.
take action.
Yeah.
It's incredible the feeling that you get, and it's validation. They're almost like your babies, and you can see them
Yeah.
growing up and taking their first steps. And that for me has been really exciting, because ultimately what I teach my clients at my Dream Big workshop is how to manifest what they want. So inside 12 months, and this is, I say, when I was at the Brand Builders, in a job with flaky skin, dark circles, and looking pretty much worse for wear, that with inside 12 months, I manifested absolutely everything. And there is a strategy to being able to do that. Inside 12 months, I was able to leave my job with the support from you. Yes, only 20%, confess. But I have been able to do
You're
that.
taking 20% of it. So
20%, 20%. And actually, it's funny because I've just decided to re-enroll.
yay! Kerry,
Yeah,
you're
I've just
another
taken the steps
year.
to re-enroll.
Yeah.
And in front of all you brand builders today, I'm promising to do at least 50%.
50%. That is so awesome, Kerry. And Simon has come in. He's put his comment there. He says, "Hello, Simon here. I help big corporates change kids' perceptions of working for them." Interesting. So thank you, Simon. If you're working with kids or you're working with corporates to support kids, make sure you connect with Simon. And actually, that was one of the things that really made a big difference to you from what I've seen of your journey, Kerry, is and you touched on it a little while ago. We had the Brand Builders Club members weekend, and I think it was in September when we were working on membership. We were specifically focusing on membership programs, subscription programs, and loyalty programs. And I remember you sitting there, and for those of you that haven't been to a Brand Builders Club event, with our Brand Builders weekends, they're always focused on a certain topic. So the one that's coming up 20th to 22nd of March in London, and then the following weekend we'll be in Miami. Doing the same thing, but we're always working mastermind teams, so you end up with another 4 people just working on your business for an hour of power to work on whatever that theme is. So the one that's coming up shortly is how you're going to productize. So what's your next product going to be, or are there some tweaks you need to make to your product, getting that feedback from your team. We're looking at sales strategy, and we're looking at visibility strategy at this next one. Well, the one that Kerry's talking about is where we were working on how do you create a continuity type income. So you create passive income to a certain extent. I don't believe anything is truly passive, but relentless income. So you do the work and then the money just appears in your bank account each and every single month without you having to chase it, without you having to get new clients. So that's what we were focused on. And Kerry, in that workshop in September, I remember your face, because there were people there who had obvious programs that were just waiting to happen. Mm-hmm. There were people there that were like, not quite sure what I could do, but actually I think, I've always wanted to do this. So they were focused on that. And you were sat there like, well, what the fuck do I do? Because you were just going through that transition of finding what that was going to be. So tell us about the process for coming up with You Are Not Your Job. Like, how did that come about as part of that members weekend?
Well, we were all round a table. Do you know, to be honest, it's all a bit of a blur, a bit of a haze. I remember Yoka being there. I remember Judith being there, Judith Quinn.
Yeah.
And we were all in a group, and Kim was there as well.
Yeah.
And we were just talking. It was just like a real natural evolution. And I was talking about my struggles. I was talking about my transition. I was talking about, how institutionalized I was, and that I felt that I couldn't get out. This whole entrepreneurial thing just seemed like this mountain that was too big to climb. And it felt like I was pushing an elephant in a trolley up a hill.
Good visual.
And I do remember thinking to myself, what am I going to do? How I felt like everybody else was sorted, and I was the only one that wasn't. Well, why wasn't I? Was it because there was something lacking in me somewhere? No, there wasn't. It just took working together in a group for
Yeah.
us all to join together with the little bits that we know, with the different perspectives that we had, throw it in a pot, shake it out, and I tell you something, magic can happen.
And it literally did happen for you, because with the questions that were asked, and everything I do is a layered process anyway. So it's okay, here's a question for you, now work with that on your table. And so it was drawing out, and we got deeper and deeper and deeper into what was it that was your gift, that was your purpose, that was the very thing that you were born to do, that you got distracted doing all this other stuff. Like, what is that thing that you're actually here for?
And I actually did discover my purpose.
You did. And
I did discover my purpose, and I wrote it down. And do you know what my purpose is?
Go on.
To show the world what self-love is all about.
Oh, I'm going to put that as a banner. Show the world what self-love is all about.
Because that's the one thing I wasn't doing. And I'd never really understood. People talk about this self-love and they throw this term around here, there, and everywhere. And actually, what does it mean? And actually, what does it look like in practice? How do I know when I've achieved it? And it actually raises more questions than it answers. But actually, yes, it was a brand builders weekend. I actually found my purpose. So now I know why I do what I do. And don't think that I haven't had challenges. I have had challenges, and it's not been smooth sailing like that. It's been like that. And at times it's been pretty lonely, which is why the brand builders has been such a lifesaver, because this can be a very, very lonely journey. And nobody ever tells you that. You did.
Yes.
You told me the truth. And so did Greg.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that when it does get tough, I can then go back to that purpose. And I feel it. It's an emotion. So although it's in words, they're not just words.
I think that's one of the key things that that so many entrepreneurs really miss, and thank you for bringing that clarity to this, is that when the shit does hit the fan, when obstacles and challenges inevitably get in your way, because it's gonna happen, always get back to the purpose, always get back to the vision, and have it written out in front of you. Kerry, you're a big fan of vision boarding and dream boarding.
Yes.
If you've got that in front of you, it reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing. I wear my one drop. I don't take my one drop off. I wear my one drop, and you're ordering your one drop as well. I leave my one drop on, because every time I have any kind of wobble, I don't even need to look at anything. I just do that. I just touch. This is my purpose. This is my anchor. I'm here to make my one drop. I'm here to make the ripple effect. So I have my anchor, and soon you're going to have your one drop as well, and you'll be able to do. So Kerry, tell us about some of those challenges, some of those obstacles, because let's get real. Let's get real. Let's talk about this shit, because shit happens.
Yeah, I made a mistake. And as you were talking about the right client, I picked the wrong client. And I wanted more for her than she wanted for herself. Because I could see her potential and she couldn't see it. And although the lesson for me was I intuitively knew that at some point I needed to sack her as a client. But the thing was, she wasn't happy for me to do that. And she wasn't happy to implement. And she wasn't happy to take advice, even though she said she would. So I knew that there was no way I could get a result from somebody that wouldn't implement.
Right.
And like I said, I'm not perfect. I only took 20%, but I got a result.
Yeah.
But she just wasn't ready to take that advice and that leap, because she didn't believe in herself. And so it did get quite challenging, to say the least. And there were times where I felt really alone, and she actually turned on me and became really nasty beyond anything I had ever imagined. And I was really hurt by that because I had a lot of love for her because I could see where she could go. And so at that point, I did feel like, why am I on this journey? But then I could rock back to my purpose that I'd created on the Members' Day. And I realized that I had to exercise self-care in that moment. And now things are okay, but it really did become extremely stressful, extremely challenging. And the one thing that I would do now that it's as much disqualification as it is qualification.
Yeah.
With your clients. And actually, the one thing that I didn't do was listen to my intuition.
Oh gosh, that is such a big one.
And intuition is so important. I talked over my intuition. So I got the feeling, I knew what it was, I recognized it and says, no, but if only. And that's what happened.
You know, I was a new brand builder. He's just about to join the Brand Builders Club. You will meet him at the members weekend in a couple of weeks in London. His name's Jason Archdale, and you might have seen me interview him. He's a friend for many, many years. He's on his journey to becoming a motivational and transformational speaker. He's got some great programs. You and he would do well to talk to each other, actually, because vision boarding and dream boarding is one of the things that he wants to do. But what he's on a mission to do is dramatically cut the suicide rate of men in this world, on this planet, because he almost went there and he sees so many men going to that dark place, and he just wants to support them, to encourage them that they do matter, that they do make a difference, and that there is a life for them. So he, you know, you and he definitely need to have a chat at the members.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my cousin was one of those that didn't have his program and is now dead.
Oh.
And he was 21.
Oh.
So, and actually it leaves a massive, massive hole in his mother. So my aunt is not the same. She walks around with a big hole in her gut, and she will always walk around with that hole because he couldn't, again, permanent decision on a temporary emotion. So what's his name, Jason?
Jason Archdale.
Jason Archdale. Yeah. I really wish I met you 2 years ago.
Oh, isn't that the way, though? You know, and this is why it's so important that each and every person on this planet gets focused on purpose and does that thing that's going to create the one drop that makes the ripple effect, that has that impact in someone's life. You don't need to be an entrepreneur to create a legacy in a moment. Holding a door open for somebody can be a legacy for that person. Smiling at somebody who you don't know what that smile meant to them in that moment, and they go on to change their entire day just because of that smile. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to be in business to be a legacy creator and a ripple maker. And, you know, and Christine, yeah, definitely. She's saying most definitely need to talk to Jason. Hi, Chris. So Jason, he is on his path, and so he's deciding what his vision and everything is. He's joining the Brand Builders for the Members' Day, and one of the things that we were talking about yesterday, you know, he was saying, like, he ran his first event a few days ago, and there was this
brilliant
like energy going up to this event, and it was go 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 go, and 7 weeks he was planning for this event. He did this grand finale, like almost like a poem stroke rap over some music that Christine Wright introduced him to, a music producer. So they produced a backing track. Jason kind of rapped this poem over the top of it. And it, like, every hair on my body was just like zing, you know, it was such a defining moment, and he just crushed it. It was brilliant. And so he does this event, and then yesterday morning he's like, oh, well, the event's over now. You know, and it's like, okay, right, we haven't got time to even think about, you know, the anticlimax, because there is one, there always is, right? You've got to expect it. You've done all this work, and now it's over, and it's like, oh, okay, what now?
What now?
and I'll give I'll share the advice that I gave to him, which ties back to exactly what you were saying a little while ago. Was when I went through a massive conflict myself when my ex-business partner, Miles, who you know, Kerry, left the business. And so when he left the business, all of a sudden, like, my whole world was turned upside down. I built this massive, like, you know, multi-million company, how to build a brand. It was in all these different countries around the world. We were speaking all over the world. We'd launched a business in Canada. We were launching a business in America. We'd done all these things. And then he said, this is not my purpose. I need to go. And it was right for him. And I will always love him and respect him for making that decision. It was right for him. He needed to go because this was my purpose and always has been my purpose. And he said, you know, this is your baby, not mine. And so he went off to find himself and to do what was right for him. But that left then me in a, holy fuck, like, I've built this business and I built this with 2 people in mind. Now it's just me. Oh no, now I've got to be seen. Shit. Now it's me that's got to get on stage and do this. Oh no, I was just the one that was creating the content. Shit. Now people are going to see me. Oh, and all these fears came up. And all this training I'd done, nothing. Anything I'd done, all the confidence I'd built, like, it was fucked at that moment. It was just gone. And for about 3 weeks, I really felt sorry for myself. So I'm there in my I was digging myself deeper and deeper and deeper, and Greg's there, has no fucking idea what to do with me. And after 3 weeks, he was about to come home. He was about to come back to England, because I was still living in France at that time, way before we got married. And he said, Sammy, I've gone as far as I can go. I just don't know. I mean, Kerry, you know, he's like the most skilled mentor and coach, but he'd used every trick. The thing is, when you're close to someone, you can't mentor or coach person that you live with. Right. So everything he said, I was like, no, it's not going to work. Or, you know, it was just like, and I'm not a negative person, but this was like, no. And I was just getting worse. And in the end, he just said to me, Sammy, I've gone as far as I can go. I love you so much, but it's crushing me seeing you like this. I've never seen you like this. I don't want to see you like this. How can I help? Like, well, if I can't help you, who do you know that can? I was like, I don't know anyone that can. He went, that's bullshit. And like, he'll say it as it is, Will Greg. He went, that's bullshit. He said, you've got a phone with so many numbers on that other people would die for.
Yep.
And you're not using them. You're not using these gifts that you have. They're on your phone. Contact 3 people. Do your own fucking advice. Contact 3 people and say, I am struggling here. I need some help. And I didn't have brand builders. This was way before brand builders. It's one of the reasons I created brand builders. I never want somebody to feel the way I felt during those 3 weeks, like totally lost, completely lonely. No, didn't know who to talk to. I didn't want to admit that I felt as crushed as I did, because if I did that, what would people think? Like, would they think less of me? Like, well, there's this person, like, she's always got it together and now she doesn't. Oh, well, I'm really fucked then. You know, it's like, you think too much about an ego, I think. Yeah. In that moment really plays a big part. Hi, Jason. We're just talking about you. And so there I am. And I'm like, okay, all right. I suppose I should follow my own advice. Thank you, Greg, for holding that mirror up. I love you. So I contacted 3 people. One of them was Jason Priestley, who very long-term friend. Gosh, we've known each other for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And so I contacted him, and you know what? I had a lot of respect for Dan Priestley at that time. He's the creator of the KPI program. He's just launched his second version of Oversubscribed. He's got a great book. He's just such an adorable person. I absolutely love Dan. And he was one of the people that I texted. And so I sent him this text. Within minutes, he responded to me, and I had no idea, because I'd been so caught up in my own shit. I completely forgot that he was getting married the next day, and he stopped everything to have a 45-minute conversation with me to support me to get out of where I was in that mental place, right? And I will always, Dan, if you ever watch this, I will always be forever grateful to you for doing that for me. So I had a conversation with Dan, and I felt so much better after that conversation. And one of the things he said was, you need my dad. He said, my dad is, when I went through this, because that was the thing, was I picked 3 people to reach out to who had gone through a business breakup.
Okay.
So he said, you need to talk to my dad. My dad is the one, he just got totally behind me, and he mentored me to do the things I needed to do in business that meant that I could then continue the business on my own, because you've got to systemize, you've got to automate, and you've got to run that business like you don't exist, like it's got to run on its own. And so I said, okay, and I knew his dad, Andrew, because he'd been one of the mentors on the KPI program. So I reached out to Andrew immediately. And whilst he was then coming back to me, I spoke to Thomas Power. Thomas Power was the second person that I reached out to. And Thomas, again, he took out nearly an hour. I was on the phone with Thomas, and he gave me all these different options. And I came away from that. I was like, wow, okay. Actually, the third person, I was fine by that point. By the time I'd had just those 2 conversations, I reached out to that third person and said, thank you so much, but I don't need it now. I've got what I need, and I'm sending you loads of love. Have an awesome holiday, because they were on holiday. So it was like, you know, sometimes you've just got to reach out and you've got to connect. Now, that what I was saying to Jason yesterday was, when I had my very first coaching session with Andrew, after like going through this shit, Andrew says to me, right, okay, forget everything else, forget all the stuff you've built, forget where you're going, forget what you've done in the past. He said, right now in this moment, what would you really love to create over the next 5 years? Like, what do you want your business to be worth? And I found this really hard because I'm not a financially motivated person. So I said, okay, well, if I were to create something that would reach the lives of, say, 5 million people at that time. God, I was thinking small even then. 5 million people, then, maybe I could have a business worth like 7 million, bearing in mind what they could spend and how you duplicate that, and touch points and heartbeats and things. I reckon like 7 million. He said, okay, so you want a business worth 7 million? I said, yeah. He went, you've just fucking walked away from a business. You just sold a business that was 7.8 million. You've already achieved 7 million. That's just a cop out. Give me another figure. And I couldn't come up with a figure. So like, guys and girls, as you're watching this, like, think of what would your figure be? Like, what would your figure be in 5 years from now? If you were to sell your business and you wanted it to be worth a certain amount of money, which means for it to be worth a certain amount of money, you have to have made a certain amount of impact, right? So this is what I was saying to Jason yesterday. Think about what is it that you want your business to be worth in 5 years. So I said this 7 million. I said, I don't know. It's just resonating with me. I'm thinking 7 million. And he said to me, all right, add a 0. I'll negotiate. Add a 0. I was like, what? He said, add a 0. So you're telling me my business is going to be worth 70 million in the next 5 years? He said, yeah. He said, if you aim for 7 million, you'll maybe get 3 or 4, maybe 5. Going for 70 million, you are going to have to show up in a totally different way to the way you're showing up now. You're going to have to live, breathe, eat, sleep, walk and talk a totally different life to what you're doing now. You ain't got time to feel sorry for yourself. You're running a fucking 70 million pound business. What does that business look like? Who do you need to wake up as every day for you to be running a business worth that amount of money? I was like, wow, okay. Well, yes, I would have to put a serious amount of in place. I would need to productize. I would need to create continuity. I would need to, and all these ideas then start coming out, all the things that I train my brand builders now. And he said, okay. And so he said, I've got one more question for you. And this is where it wraps right back round to what we were talking about that Kerry said, that she didn't listen to her gut. He said to me, what's the one reason that you haven't already achieved that? Like, why haven't you achieved a 70 million pound business already? And I knew the word straight away. He said, one word. You've got to have one word that sums it up. So guys and girls watching this now, what is your reason? If you could take one word and sum up the entire reason why you haven't achieved what you want to yet, what would that one word be? And my word was gut. I hadn't followed my gut. There were times when I knew I should have followed my gut and I didn't. There were times when I had that absolute screaming instinct not to do something or to do something, and I either did or didn't do it, and I didn't follow what my gut and my instinct was telling me to do. And as a result of that, I wasn't on that path I was meant to be on. So I know that's a kind of long way round to what Kerry was saying, but I felt like I needed to share that for those of you today, is that when you don't follow your gut, when you don't follow your instinct, it takes you on a totally different path. You can't afford not to follow it. You've got to go with it. Okay, procrastination is Christine's. What a great word. Thank you, Christine. Jason, £10 million. Awesome. So what is the reason? What's that one word that sums up why you aren't already running that £10 million business, Jason? So Christine's is procrastination. Belief. Okay, that's another big one. That's like the big kahuna is that one.
Yeah, I find people often get confused between confidence and self-belief.
Right.
Totally different.
Right. Well, why don't you give that definition for those
Okay.
people
So you can be confident externally and you can look great and sound great, talk a good game. But what's really going on inside? Do you really believe you can do it? Are you the one that tells yourself, nah, give it a go? Maybe. What kind of words are you telling yourself on the inside that nobody hears? You know, those words that only you hear. But yet you can still talk a good game on the outside. So confidence I consider to be external. Self-belief is more internal.
I think that's a great definition. Thank you. Nailed it, Kerry. Yes, she did. Fucking boom. Simon says model. So I take it that's business model, not supermodel. I'm not at the £10 million zone because I haven't got that supermodel on my arm. Yeah, I'm assuming that that's a business model for you, Simon. And that, I mean, again, that's really key, is that having that right foundation of a business model underneath it, what you're doing, it underpins absolutely everything that you're building. Kerry, what would your word be?
Mine was procrastination.
Oh, you're matching Christine.
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely my word. And actually, for me, the minute I started implementing straight away, speed of implementation makes the difference. It is the difference that makes the difference. As I say, you know, whether it be 5%, 10%, or 20, then it makes a difference. Because sometimes we wait to have all our ducks in a row, wait for it all to be perfect. And you know what, Sammy? I've learnt there never is a perfect time.
There isn't. Actually, there is, and it's now, regardless of perfection. The perfect time is now. You know, there's a book that I was reading recently. I can't remember which one it was, but in it says, you know, you cannot afford to think. You can't afford to think. You just need to do. You just need to take action. If you think about it, you talk yourself out of it. So don't talk yourself out of it. Just fucking do it. JFDI. And that's what you did. So you made, so is your, like, what would your word for this year be then? So if procrastination is the thing you're avoiding, is action or inspired action, maybe that's your word for the year, inspired action. Is this inspired action? Because if you procrastinate, you're thinking about it.
Yeah, no, this is just all inspired action, definitely. I have decided to dedicate this year to me.
Oh,
I'm dedicating it to me and to doing more of what you told me to do in the first place. And then actually looking at the results of that, and also keeping fellow brand builders up to date with my results, so that those who might be having that tiny little bit of doubt or that tiny little bit, just reach out to me. I'll dig a hole and pull you through. That is what we're about. I want to be able to support every single brand builder inside the club and to help them to achieve exactly the same results, not as that I've achieved, but the results that they want for themselves. And if there is that little bit of doubt and you do reach out to me, I will stamp it out of you.
She will.
So if you reach out to me, expect a result. If you don't want a result, don't contact me.
And that is what I love so much about brand builders, is that each and every one, I hand select each and every person that I invite to become a part of this, because, you know, it's so wonderful. Like, you can't have a community where everybody's lonely, you know, like Kerry is giving you permission to reach out to her for free and contact her. Say, I'm struggling, just like reach out to me. You're a fellow brand builder. You're my family. I want to support you, because Kerry knows that you would do the same for her.
That's right. And in fact, I've got a call at 6:30 with another brand builder from the last interview. And I've had several of you reach out to me via Messenger. And yes, I will be contacting you. We will be setting dates and we will be having that talk. So you know who you are. I know who you are. And we will be getting this show on the road. Okay. And making sure that the brand builders are exactly what Sammy built it to be, and to take advantage of that and to make it work for you. And that is why I'm here.
Yeah, thank you, Kerry. Because, you know, when you join a program, when you're part of something, it's easy to get lost in it because you're lost in your head. You're thinking too much. What would you say to those people that are feeling overwhelmed, or they're not quite sure what's next? What would you say to those?
Yeah, I spent time doing that too, and then soon realized that it wasn't actually helping me. So here's what I did. I went to the nearest Thinkubator.
Right.
That was the start. The nearest Thinkubator, just roll up. It's only a few hours of your time that you need to dedicate to yourself for self-love. This is all about you. So don't think about, oh, I've got to do the dinner. Oh, I've got to do this. I've got to do that. No, no, no. You've got to do this just as much as you have to do all the other things in your life. And therefore, you need to place an importance on that. Okay? Because look, it's what I say to my clients. How can you give from an empty vessel?
No, it's just not possible.
You can't. Roll up to the nearest thing. If you have to cancel things to do it, do it. Start from there with an open mind and just think of yourself as a sponge, just soaking everything in. Because at that point, you will get a chance to work on your own business and to get ideas from the group. Okay? The next thing to do is to consider rolling up to one of the weekends. Okay? So if you're a fully blown member and you turn up to the weekend, find a babysitter, whatever you've got to do to make that time for yourself, and then just dedicate all that time for you. Any hopes, any dreams, any visions you've got, jot them down. Walk around with a pen and paper, even by your bed, because usually when you wake up, you get nice ideas, or in the shower. Make sure you can jot those ideas down. Put them, have a journal or a book that you can just jot things down in. And even if it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. Because when you turn up to the Thinkubator or on the members' days, you can discuss it with people and see what they think. Then things start coming together. Starts coming together like that. And before you know it, it starts working and turning. Then you've got this creation that you didn't even know that you would have. And often it's a lot better than you expect, but you can't necessarily see the steps. But you've just got to
sense check it, don't you? And have some other people in a live way give you that feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you think about looking at thinking about the Thinkubators when you came, if you think about like the first Thinkubator I think you came to, and I brought a celebrity to that, and it was a closed Thinkubator. We had Levi Roots from Reggae Sauce, who was featured on Dragon's Den. I think that was one of your first Thinkubators.
That was an incredible moment in my life. The words that man said to me that day have lasted forever. And I still think about them, and I've passed those words on to other people.
I think that's such a key thing. And as Kerry said, get yourself to your next Thinkubator, because that's where we hold those live sessions. We go, I think we've got 7 Thinkubators that we run around the world currently. So we're in London, we're in Manchester, the Netherlands, we're in Brisbane, Australia, we're in Atlanta, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and online. So they are the places that we are always live once a month in those locations. And it just so happens, actually, the online Thinkubator, we run 2 of them on the last Friday of every month. So I delivered the 9 a.m. one this morning already, which was so powerful. It was brilliant, and we did some great masterminding on that. And we have our next one at 7 p.m. this evening. So in an hour and 20 minutes, we're going live for our online version of the Thinkubator. So even if you came to a live one, so Shamna Lee Gray, she's one of our members in the Netherlands. She came to a live one a couple of weeks ago in the Netherlands, and she attended the online version this morning, and she got so many more ideas. So come to as many of them as you can. As a Brand Builders Club member, you can come to all of them. If you're not a Brand Builders Club member, you can just pay to play and come to them and attend the Thinkubators. So the next online one is in like an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes. So wherever you are, 7 p.m. GMT, or it's 2 p.m. if you're on Eastern time, 11 a.m. if you're on Pacific time. So whatever time that is for you around the world, it's 7 p.m. this evening. So I deliver an hour of training, and then we do 2 hours of masterminding, depending on how many people are there. And yeah, you really get those results, because you can get that question answered that you have in your heart, that instead of just sitting there, and no question is a stupid question. So many times someone will say, I've got a really stupid question, and everyone else goes, oh, I learned a lot from the answer that we just got there. So always ask your questions. So I've put the Zoom link there for those of you who want to join.
Whatever you're thinking, there's somebody else who's probably thinking the same.
Yeah. Oh, Christine, she's cancelled the dinner that she's going to be speaking at for 10 minutes on the members weekend, so that she can come and be there with us, Kerry. So yeah, that is awesome. We're going to be at the Pavilion in Kensington, and the event starts at 6:30 p.m. on the Friday the 20th. So get there at 6:30. So we're going to do 3 hours of training on the Friday evening, and of course it's a great time for people to all come and socialize as well before we go into that intense members day, which is on the Saturday. So we'll be starting 8:15 for registration, going through till about 7 p.m. at night. Then we'll all go for dinner somewhere, or drinks or something. And so it's a nice social. And Kerry, what's your advice about staying for the social?
Always stay for the drinks. That's where the golden nuggets come out. So all you need to do, cancel everything, roll up to the Thinkubator, do your 3 hours, and definitely go for the pint afterwards, even if it's a pint of water. Stay. That's where the magic happens.
It is, isn't it? Because you've been you've had time to process now, and that's where all the ideas flow, and so many things are discussed outside of the classroom as such. So yeah, oh gosh, Kerry, you make me excited about my own business, because I see you just go out there and do it, and there is no greater compliment for me than to see a brand builder totally outrise me. Go for it, do everything you can to outrise me, outshine me, get out there. I want you to be that fucking drop that gets out there and makes the ripple effect that makes the difference on a global scale. And I want that for each and every one of you, and you sitting there right now. Yes, I can see you. I am pointing at you right now. I want it for you as well. So Kerry, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to leave as a parting thing for our weekend? Go into our weekend.
Okay, so I do my vision board workshops. The next one is on the 28th of March. So if you want to know how to manifest in your life something inside 12 months, something massive, then I'll be teaching you how to do that. The next date is the 25th of April. Okay, so you can private message me for more details on that. And here's the thing. Even with the brand builders, all you have to do is choose to take a chance so that your life will change.
Oh, I like that. Choose to make a chance. Choose to make a.
Take a chance.
Choose to take a chance
so that your life will change.
Boom. Okay, so just give me those dates again. 28th of March and 25th of April, did you say?
Yes, those are the dates for the next 2 workshops. I keep it down to 10 people, and I make sure I follow up with you, so there'll be no getting away from manifesting.
I can well believe that. She's going to be like, I know where you live.
Yeah, there's no getting away. I want results from each and every one of you.
Love it. Mate, I love you so much. You are just the most amazing friend, the most amazing client. And Kerry reminded me of something. We were talking about One Drop the other day, and Kerry said, "You've been doing this One Drop thing for a long, long time." I said, "Yeah, kind of, it started a few years ago." She went, "No, it didn't. You don't remember something that you did for me about, what was it, maybe 10 years ago?"
Yeah, it was about that. Yeah.
I mean, it was my One Drop that I was doing that day.
Yep.
So do you want to just expand on that a little bit before we go? Because I just was reminded of that.
Okay, well, I would have bought my happiness ring. Anyway, Sammy had this beautiful ring, and she'd made it in France, and it was made of glass and had an array of colours in them. Really pretty. I think she had a pendant to go with it. And I had picked the wrong boyfriend. I was going through a terrible time. And I was really, really quite upset and depressed and annoyed with myself, as you are sometimes. And Sammy came up to me and she spoke to me about this decision that I'd made and said, "You know what, Kerry?" She pulled off this ring. She said, "This is a happiness ring. And look at all the colours in it. I had it made in France. When you look at it, I want you to look at all the colours and just think of happiness." And through the tears, as I wiped them away, because I felt stupid. I felt like I'd never, made a bad decision. I was really upset with myself. And I took this ring and I put it on my finger. As I looked at it, this feeling came over me that actually, you know what? It might just be okay. I'm feeling hurt right now, but there's a lesson to be learned. When I learn that lesson, it'll prep me for the right person. And as I look at this ring, it's made of glass, and I don't know really how it was all put together. And that doesn't really matter. But 10 years later, I still have that ring. I still look at it. And in those moments of doubt, and I still have them, not perfect, I go back to my happiness ring. And I put it on. And it's almost anchored that state to me. So this One Drop, I've been using this ring for the whole of the 10 years. Sometimes I don't need it for 3 months. Sometimes I need it for 1 month. But it's definitely helped me get through just the feelings that were attached to what we did in that moment at that time. And I've gone through lots of things where when I did fall in love, he got murdered. So I've been through so much shit, and I just thought, just when I thought I was just getting there, it was just happening, boom, another thing happened and it didn't work out. So that was really important for me, because that was the time when I used to think about jumping on the Victoria line just because it was just too much, because of all the other things that I'd been through. So that One Drop for me isn't something you did for the last 2 years or because you found that pendant in some obscure shop somewhere. It wasn't that. It started 10 years ago with that ring. And here's what's similar. It is that one drop, that one ripple, because you're talking about 10 years ago. That ripple is still going 10 years later.
Wow.
So if anybody thinks this One Drop thing is new, I'm here to tell you it's not. You should see the colours I've got in my ring compared to the colours that are in there. Woof.
Oh, you have to wear your ring to the Members' Day.
See, if I know you were going to talk about it, I'd have brought it to show the world.
Oh, well, you can show our bubble, our brand builders bubble.
Yeah.
In March. Oh dear, you got me crying now. Ugh, yeah. I'm a puppy git. So, Kerry, thank you for sharing that story, because you hadn't quite shared all of that with me. You just were talking about how you still wear your happiness ring, and so thank you for your vulnerability and sharing what you just did. I wasn't expecting that at all, and I'm very touched that
she just came up with this One Drop. I think that's so funny.
Yeah. We don't realize the impact that we make. And you think of these little things that you do, you know, like Christine, she feeds a homeless person every night. You know, like what is it that you're doing that you're just taking for granted, that you know you don't have to be doing these major gestures, you know, just the gift of something. I know that Yoka, she bought 15 of these one drops and she's been giving them to people. When someone does something for her that makes a massive difference to her, she gives it to them and says, thank you for being the ripple maker in my life. Thank you. And they have this anchor, and you know, she's doing the same thing for them that I did for you, and I didn't even know that that's what I was doing.
Now, can you imagine each one of those pendants going to people and that ripple lasting 10 years, just like the ring? It started with a ring.
Yeah. It started with a ring. Oh, it's almost like Disney. It all started with a mouse. You never know. One day somebody could be stood on stage saying, and it all started with a ring. You just never know where you have the ability to grow what you're doing. I think if everything that you do is from a place of absolute unconditional love, how could somebody not accept that and take that and anchor it? So, oh gosh. Well, that has left my cockles well and truly warmed for this evening. Kerry, thank you very, very much. Thank you to those of you that have joined us today for this interview. I hope that you've been given some inspiration and some just something. Like, what have you got from today? Like, what are you going to take and do with the information that you've heard today? Because it's not just about listening to it, it's about doing it and being it. I think that's the big thing, is being it, isn't it? And as Kerry said, it's, you know, so what I'm going to take away from this is just you never know what drop that is that you're making. Simon, I can't remember his surname. I'm going to be interviewing him in the next couple of weeks on this show. He said, Sammy, you'll only ever know about 1% of the difference that you're ever making. You do know that, don't you?
And I believe the same thing. I've said that to you too.
Yeah,
I've said that to you too. In fact, do you know what, Sammy? I think you genuinely think that you know. And I believe you. And it's also way, way bigger than you. This is much bigger than you. It's beyond.
Thank you. I take that in. And then I hold the mirror up and say, right, back at you. Or each and every one of you watching this now, that's for you as well. You know, we are only ever seeing 1% maximum of the impact that we're actually making. So just keep making it. Keep making that difference. Keep being that ripple maker, and you know, just be that drop. And if you haven't got your drop, by the way, we're now making lapel pin badges. So for our men, our guys, if you want to give a one drop to a guy, or you as a guy want to wear a one drop lapel pin, we're now making the one drop lapel pins, and key rings as well. We've now started making key rings. So for those of you that want a key ring to hang around, and you know, it's like every time you go to do something and you see it on your keys, it's reminding you you're a one drop. You're a one droppreneur. You are here to make a bigger difference. Are you making it today? It's a really good reminder. Every time I look in the mirror, I see my one drop around my neck. Am I on track for the difference I came to make today? So Fiona, I'm so pleased that you caught this as well. Raspberry Ripple. Simon, I just love you, Simon. I hope that you're going to bring some of those extra loud naughty boy shirts with you for the members weekend. I don't think Kerry's met you yet. Like, Kerry, when you see Simon, you'll know Simon. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
You'll see Simon coming. You really will. So guys and girls, thank you so much for showing up for yourselves, for showing up for each other, for showing up for Kerry this evening, and for being in my life. I'm so proud and honored to be on this journey with you. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll be live again next week with some other brilliant experts and some great interviews. We've got some people that you might not have met yet that I'm interviewing next week. So we'll be going live at 5 every day. So take care. Have an amazing weekend. And share your one drops. Like every time you do something that's making a drop and a difference to someone, come and share it in the group. Let us know what it is you're doing in the How to Build a Brand group. Come in and say, hey, you know, I've done this today, and you know, it feels so amazing to do it, or what was the result of the thing that you did. You know, let's commit to doing something each and every day that is that ripple maker, and celebrating it as well. Simon is wearing a pink t-shirt today. Simon, I think we need a photo. So Elaine, have a wonderful members weekend. We won't be there, unfortunately. Oh, I think it's going to be one of the first ones that I haven't seen you at, but Helene and we were going to be talking now about Instagram. We're running an Instagram sprint for Brand Builders Club members that's coming up in March. Aline, I know you've got to go to dinner, and there's a big anniversary, so happy anniversary. Let's see if we can catch up tomorrow instead, because I wanted to spend this super important time together on this show. Sending you lots and lots of love, whatever you're doing and wherever you are. I will see you after the weekend. So, and those of you in the Brand Builders Club, I'll see you over the weekend. Take care. Mwah. Thanks, Kerry.
Bye.